Hello, I'm Ron the Creator Studio Bless, and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're new here, our aims at Studio Bless is to inspire faith through visual storytelling. And so in today's video, I have something pretty different, which is me taking you along with a new series that I want to title Draw With Me. And so in today's video, we're drawing an illustration with Darius, Jael, and Brandon in their summertime outfits. And so this will also be available on our print shop in July. And so if you want to check out the prints, you can go find that link in the description, and you can see all the prints that we have available. Hey, let's get started. So let's go over here and let's get drawing. And so as you can see, we're at my home studio. I'm working off of a Huion drawing tablet. I can't remember off the top of my head what model this is, but I love this drawing tablet. If I'm not in my home studio, sometimes you've seen it on our social media. If you haven't followed already, go follow us at the Studio Bless. You might have seen me working on the iPad. That's usually if I'm, not in town, or if I'm out in certain places, right? And I just need to get some sort of artwork out. I work off the iPad. So if you're a digital artist, or really just any kind of artist, an iPad would really be helpful and useful to not just flesh out ideas, but to even get professional work done. And so without further ado, let me go ahead and reveal to you all what the sketch that we're working from today. So here we have, there's Jael. I don't know if you guys can see that. If not, I'll have something kind of popped up on the screen. We have Jael, she has here her purse and everything. She's looking real slayed, right? Real yassified, as if you could say that. Then we have our boy Brandon. Oh man, love drawing Brandon. He has like the kind of cut off sleeves, right? Looking real cool. And then we have Darius, right? Kind of giving like that late 90s feel, urban hip hop, right? And so this is pretty much just celebrating, right? The first summer of, you guys knowing Studio Bless and knowing these characters. And so we're not going to have a background for this illustration today. What we're just going to do is we're just going to go ahead and ink, add our colors, and then probably have something that says like summer 2K25 or summer something to know that this is done on the summer of 2025. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the ink work, and then we'll check back in. So when I first start off drawing, I take the sketch and I go ahead and drop the opacity down to somewhere around like the 20 to 30 range. That way it kind of gives me, I can still see the drawing, but when I go and do the ink work, I don't get kind of confused on some of the dark areas. And so that's just a general rule of tip whenever you're going back and inking stuff digitally. If you can do that, do that. So let's go ahead and get started on the ink process. If you're wondering what program I'm using Clip Studio Paint. I'm using the EX version, and this is primarily what we use to animate All of Ascension after what we use to illustrate. Now, if I'm doing some digital painting, I will go over to Photoshop. But for the most part, just Clip Studio Paint. It has everything. It's probably the best drawing program I've had. This isn't sponsored by Clip Studio Paint, one day probably. But anyway, when it comes to the pens, I just use the stock Real G pen. That's what they use over there in the East with manga, traditional manga and animation and stuff like that. And so let's go ahead and get started. Hey, so finally finished up majority of the inks for Brandon. As you can see, we got him with his little pose. I'm saving the glasses for a little bit later. I'm still working on the perspective of that. But now we're going to go ahead and work on either the inks for Jael or Darius. I might save the best for last, which is Jael or Darius. I don't know. But just some tips that I want to kind of talk about, right? So when you're doing digital art, right, it's kind of the general rule to have layers, right? And people go overboard with layers. People don't use layers enough, right? When you're doing inks, right, as you can see, I have 4 different layers, right? I have an ink layer for just the main character. I have an ink layer for the cup, an ink layer for the just the accessories, so like whatever they're wearing, right? So that way my mind doesn't get confused, or I'm not having to go back and erase little itty bitty lines. I can go back and do that on each different layer. So if you're not using layers, use them in a systematic way. Develop your own system. And so, yeah, and on our Patreon, I'll kind of go over a little bit more with our little tutorial system that we're starting to implement, right? So if you want to figure out more about like the full in-depth process of how I illustrate and everything, or whatever my team does, you can find that also on our Patreon. But let's go ahead and move on to inking the next person. And so now we have our inks done for Darius, for Brandon, and for Jael. And so now it's time to go ahead and go in and do the actual coloring. So, like I said, keep everything on different layers. What I'll do now is I'll do a flat layer of just the skin tones, and then work my way up with the different colors for the different outfits and stuff. And so as you can see, they're all having like their different drinks, right? Darius is having like a little slushy, and then you have Brandon and Jael, they're having some boba. And really, I just want to have this whole thing kind of express summer. And so that's kind of the goal. They have their glasses, they're kind of dripped out, really just trying to, get them to like, look approachable and look like they're ready for the summer. And so I'll check back in with you guys soon with the coloring. And so let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. Hey, I'm back after a few days after taking a break from print that I'm working on. I spent some time working on some other stuff for the studio, such as like the animation for the first episode, as well as some pages from our upcoming manga that's going to be debuting at the end of the summer. And so without further ado, I went ahead and already did the flat colors. And so what we're about to do now, I'm going to show you guys the colors, and I'm going to show you how I go about with adding the different shadows and the shading and everything. And then we'll pretty much just be finished. So without further ado, let me show you what I've been working on. All right, here are the colors in 3, 2, 1. Ooh, look at them, look at them. As you can see, I already did the cast shadow for Darius as well. But you see, we got kind of like this blue and red fit for Brandon, this really cool earth tone vibe going for Darius, and same thing for Jael. And so the plan now is to go ahead and add the cast shadows, and then add the shadows, and then somewhere in the back we can have Summer 2K25 or something, and then we'll call it there. Eventually there's going to be a background for this print also, but just to kind of let the characters stand out, we're just going to keep it with the white background. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Here is another look at the finished illustration / art print. If you do want to support us in that kind of way, you can go to the description box below, click on the shop link. We just updated our shop. We have t-shirts, we have stickers, and we have some more art prints just like this one. So you can always support us by subscribing, sharing, and hitting that bell notification so that way whenever we drop something, it comes straight to your device, and that way you can see what we're up to. I really enjoyed drawing with you all. I can't wait to come up with more stuff. I can't wait to show you guys more stuff with Ascension After and the things that we're doing here at Studio Bless. And as always, thank you for your support. Continue to support us by following and sharing for more updates.